Hi guys, it's David here from One Step at a Time, and today I'm going to be discussing how to replace your clutch slave cylinder. And this is the one I've taken off my Mitsubishi L200, and I just wanted to give you a quick rundown on it. If you're checking for the first time to find out if it is your slave that's causing the problem, that's leaking, usually it seeps out through the front of the piston and it fills this little dust cover here. So if you squeeze that on your car, usually if there's lots of oil coming out of its slave, so it's either the slave or the master cylinder. More often than not it's the slave. They're very easy to replace. It's only 3 bolts, the 2 that hold it onto the body, and there's one banjo screw here for allowing the fluid to run into the cylinder and back into the reservoir again, and there's a little bleed valve here. And it is pretty straightforward. The worst part of it is the bleeding, I think. But so I just want to show you something else. You don't always have to replace this completely. When you take this apart, if you take off, you get this little push rod. Let's just remove this dust cover, and it has a little edge on it. And if you buy it new, you just make sure that that hole is around the edge of it. And here is your little piston, if you can see that. And if I squeeze it on the lid up real quick, I can pop it out. Now if you've just taken that out for the first time, be very careful, because it'll be full with brake fluid, clutch fluid, and it's poisonous crap. So just make sure you don't have it pointing towards your face. Make sure it's pointing into a cloth or something, clean it all up. But when you take it out of the cylinder, if the cylinder inside isn't scored or marked in any way, and it looks clean and you don't have any pitting or anything on it, you can actually replace just the seals. So I'll just remove that for a second. I just show you. You can actually get slave cylinder repair kits, seals. If you look up your make and model and check for a seal, you can get 2 seals for it, and you can just remove these and put on the 2 new seals. Just make sure if you're using grease on it, that when you push it back into the cylinder, that the seals don't fold back on themselves. So use a bit of grease, but don't use any grease. Make sure it's grease that's suitable for going onto rubber. You don't want to corrode them. Most of the time, the reason these go in the first place is that brake fluid is hygroscopic, so it attracts moisture from the air, and a lot of the time when you get your car serviced, even for brakes, they don't tend to change the fluid, but over time it gets like that. And if you get a cylinder that's worn out like this was, it starts sucking in air and moisture through the side of the piston, and what you get then is you get this contaminated, and it causes the corrosion. That's what causes the problems in the first place. So I recommend, if you have or you can, you're better off changing out maybe at least once a year anyway. The same thing for brakes. A lot of the time people don't do it, and you'll notice your car, the brake starts to get a little spongy on it. It's because it's soaking in the moisture, and it's affecting how it works. And that's it, guys. It's just a quick rundown. If you just pop that back on that. And if it comes in parts, if you're buying a new cylinder, if it comes in parts, you literally just join it together. Like I said, use the grease. The chances are the piston will probably be in it, and this will be the only piece that's separate. But if not, like I said, just grease that and then nice and gently push that in until it's in place, and then just get your little push rod and push it through. And then just put the dust cap, pop it into the middle of your cylinder, push the dust cap over it, and that's it. I'll move on to showing you where it is on the vehicle. Well, on mine it'll be different on different vehicles. Some you can do from the engine bay when you open up the bonnet, but this I had to go under it, and with the Mitsubishi L200, the chassis and the drive shaft are in the way, so it's slightly it's very awkward to get to. But you need 14mm spanner and an 8mm for opening this, and that's all you need really. So I'll get to showing you that. Hi guys, sorry I had to record my audio afterwards. My camera seemed to be picking up an awful lot of noise, so I thought it might upset people a bit, so I said I'd do the recording afterwards. This is the left hand side of my Mitsubishi L200. I've just removed the wheel, and there's a little dust cover, so you know there's a little protection. I just moved that back out of the way, and I'll quickly show you where the clutch slave cylinder is. As you can see, the chassis is in the way. Just behind that is the drive shaft, so it was hard enough to get into. I'll get a better angle then to show you, but you can kind of make out on the left hand side, these are the two bolts that are holding it onto the body, and this is your banjo screw here, and this is your bleed valve. But before you do any of that, we're going to have to just bleed out the system first, because the chances are if your slave cylinder is gone, all the fluid in there is contaminated, so you want to make sure you get rid of all of that first. So it's easy enough to do that. I'll quickly show you. Just put an 8mm spanner on the bleed valve, take the dust cap off it, go to your engine bay and open up the reservoir, and then just pump the clutch until all the contents are empty. Now you can, if you like, on the top of that bleed valve you can put a pipe. You can get it in your motor factors, get a little pipe for your bleed valves, and it'll help you direct the contents. It'll be less messy into a bottle or a jar, so you can dispose of it. Make sure you don't touch it off any of your bodywork. It's very corrosive stuff. It'll peel the paint off your car. So I'll just once you've removed the all the fluid from your engine or from the reservoir, and you've pumped it through and all the contamination's gone out of it, just remove your cylinder then and replace it with your new one. And just be careful when you're taking off the banjo screw. There's a couple of little copper washers in it, don't lose them. And other than that then, it's just the bleeding section then after that, so I'll quickly run through that. Okay guys, this is the last section of it, and it's the bleeding section. For me it was probably the worst part, because on the Mitsubishis, the feed coming out of the reservoir was going straight out, then it was going up and across and then down to the slave cylinder, so it took a bit more pumping of the clutch pedal to get the fluid down to the cylinder. But a lot of vehicles, it just runs straight out and down to it, so gravity will help you out a good bit there. So all you have to do is open your bleed valve quarter turns plenty and fill your reservoir to the top initially. But once you pump the clutch, you only want to do that, so you lift it up and then you push it down, and then you lift it up and push it down. You only want to do that about 4 times initially, because you want to check the levels, because if you pump too much at the beginning and you go below the outlet in the reservoir, it'll draw more air in and you'll have to start from the beginning again. So just initially 3 or 4 pumps of the clutch, check your levels, top it up if you need to. Once the brake fluid starts to come out of the bleed valve, just close off your bleed valve, and then do another couple more pumps on your clutch, check your levels again, and then open your bleed valve a quarter turn just to let any air out. Then close it off again and do the same thing over and over. The only thing I'll say to you is, every time you'll need probably a second person with you. When you push down the clutch, keep the clutch pushed to the floor. When you open and close the bleed valve, don't let it up, because if you let it up while the bleed valve is open, it will suck air back in through the bleed valve, unless you have speed bleeders, which are very handy. I'll put a picture quickly up on the screen here in a second. But Once you do that, it'll stop it sucking air back into the system. Once you see a small little bit of movement on the push rod, all you have to do then is you can pump the clutch a little bit faster until it builds the pressure. You can open the bleed valve if you want, just one more time, just to check to make sure there's no little pockets of air, and close it off, check your levels, and put the lid on your reservoir, and that should be it, guys. So I hope you liked the video. If it helped you out, hit the like button, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers, good luck.